Okay.
Woo.
You know, it's funny. I had some interesting comments from the last show. I asked people about the crazy house rules they had for Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I had somebody who said, Vince Brock said, when we were kids, we played unlimited, no interest loans from the bank. The games never ended. Somebody else said 500 on free parking.
Mm.
Another said, we finished the game we start, even if the game was started by a 10-year-old nephew who dropped out of the game within 20 minutes and the rest of us sat for 4 hours, played to find a winner. Yes, that did happen.
A winner.
Yeah.
Absolute ruler.
Let's see. All fines went under free parking, land on the square, and you got money. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, the free parking, the pot, yeah.
It was funny. This person says the last time I played went with all-out strategy. Idea was to win or get out early and not lose my entire evening. It worked. I lost. That's kind of funny. Yeah, no, like I said, it was funny when we were talking about that, but yeah. I don't know where I caught an episode of The Big Bang Theory, and it's the episode. Have you ever heard of the game called The Campaign for North Africa?
No, I haven't.
Oh, be glad. Be so glad that you've never heard of this game.
What is it, like Axis and Allies?
Oh, no. It's like Axis and Allies. If Axis and Allies wanted to go on for like a year.
Yeah, no thank you.
I mean, like, you have to configure things based on, if I remember correctly, I know somebody who's played it, and it was funny. They were like, oh yeah, I got this really cool war game called Campaign for North Africa. And I was like really, really enthused, and then I started to hear, the more I heard, the more I was like, yeah, one turn can take like 8 hours.
Nope.
I'm like, no.
No. How about
No. Like, there's a role to figure out whether or not you got pasta. Because, like, you know, there was that whole thing about, like, in Africa where, like, the Italians, like, had a problem where they insisted on bringing pasta, having water to be able to boil and make pasta, and that can affect how, like I said, this game is extremely intricate.
Convoluted, sounds like.
Yeah, ridiculous. And it's, yeah. So I was like, wow. Okay, no. But it was funny because I saw, like, they're playing on Big Bang Theory, and I was literally like, oh my god, that game takes forever. So what are they, insane?
You watched the scene, or was it on YouTube, or what?
Oh, I just happened to catch it. I can't remember what else I was watching that night, and I was waiting for that night, and then I ended up watching it instead. Oh, the bear game. I was waiting for the bear game. I was waiting for the bear game, and that was the one that was on before the bear game.
Oh, interesting that he brings that up, and then that's the one you happen to be watching. It's like, I'd have done some research. Not that I'm like, anything and all geek related needs to go through the filter of the Big Bang Theory, but...
Yeah, you know, I gotta tell you, that is a really good point. There are a lot of... Boy, I don't like saying this, but there are a lot of normies who their entire geek life filter is based on the Big Bang, what they know from the Big Bang Theory.
Right, and oh yeah, Sheldon mentioned that once. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right, like, I mean, there are some legit jokes in there, like, only getting laid at Comic-Con. I mean, that stuff really does happen. I mean, that's true. I mean, I can speak that to Gen Con, too. I mean, that kind of stuff really does, you know, go on there as well. Or weird things along those lines, like, you know, like when they played Settlers of Catan, and look, you know, they're making the joke about, does anybody have any wood for sheep, or anybody have any sheep for wood, you know, and, you know, they're sitting there acting like, giggling like school children, and you know, Sheldon's sitting there going, why won't anybody take my wood, you know, you know, and it doesn't understand why that's problematic. But,
yeah, as a non sequitur, that's
right, exactly. Yeah. And you know, they're making the joke, and it's there, and that kind of thing. But you know, or all this stuff about comic books or all that other stuff. I mean, it's really, I mean, yeah, there are literally some people who literally only know about geek stuff by watching The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and we've seen this too. I mean, stuff that we might consider common knowledge because we keep our nose to the grindstone or ear to the ground or whatever you want to call it, the correct analogy. But there's some people who are like, oh, well, how come this superhero is wearing this suit? Like, well, don't you know? And episode 149 in 2007, there's this one issue where the heroes traded costumes or whatever, you know. Not to pull that comic book geek thing, but yeah, some people just are out of the loop. Yeah, I know.
Those people do exist, though.
Yes, they
do.
Mean,
I've been in panels like that where literally it's like in issue number 50, page 5, panel 3. So and so does this, and you're like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Really?
Someone pulled that. I remember Gen Con 95, and I only remember because I was wearing my T-shirt I just got from my first BotCon, and somebody said, "Oh man, that is so illin." I'm like, "Thanks," but we watched an interview with we sat in a panel with James Doohan, who is Scotty, and there's a scene where in Relics. In the TNG episode where he says, I should Captain Kirk was going to rescue me or bring the Enterprise out of mothballs to save me. And, of course, this episode was written before Star Trek Generations where Scotty sees the apparent demise of Captain Kirk, and someone called him out on it. And he said, so that's one of those picky things, isn't it? Like, and everyone was like, groan. I was like, come on, dude, don't mess with the actor. I mean, he's just there to recite the lines. He didn't write it. He doesn't, he's not responsible for the canon.
Yeah, so. I mean, if that's where you're going to go, then
yes, don't be that guy. There's times where you can do that in good taste, and there's times where like, man, dude, don't.
I mean, at least if you're going to do that, do it with like the writers.
Right.
Or the producers.
Not just the actors or the personalities, the person you relate to, who obviously just there to show up and say his lines and leave. I mean,
my favorite is like when they get on the artist about like something that isn't art related. That's always my favorite.
Because in most cases, the story is written by somebody and then colored and inked by somebody else.
Right. Exactly. Well, and there's some people where it's like, okay, it's one person inked it, one person colored it.
And one person just did the pencils, yeah.
Right, and one person just drew it.
Or one guy did the layout, so especially with the big...
Right. That's all...
Then don't take it up with the guy who does the secondary cleanup, who adds the text and the word bubbles and all that,
Yeah, the word
Take it up
bubbles,
with the writer.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always...
Yeah.
That's always, to me, the amusing part is about some of the stuff... Or it's like, God, I like when you're at conventions, you're like, especially with gaming, when you're at conventions and it's gaming, and right away that's always my favorite too, is the people who it's like, okay, this is the ruling I'm making as a GM. No, I don't think that's right. Well, this is the ruling I'm making. No, I got a book right here. Let me go whoop it out.
Yeah, and they have the book right under their arm.
Well, and the problem is, here's the problem. The problem is, you're fine if it's only one person and they're not, and you think you can shut them down. The problem becomes when it becomes, how do I say, somebody else decides to go along with said person.
Right, because it would be your ruling would be a detriment to them as personally as their characters.
Or they're like, no, that person's right. Now we're going to spend time in the game to do this ruling. And it's like, really?
Yeah. Don't be actually.
Well, I would at least understand in maybe like a home game. Like a homebrew game. Like, okay, I'm playing with friends at home.
Yeah.
And, well, no, even if it's not, even beyond funsies, just in general, look. You're playing on a regular basis. You play every week. Whereas I've seen this at game conventions where it's like, okay, we have a 4-hour time slot to get through this adventure. Okay, if we don't get, if 4 hours comes up, and really in reality, we need to be done before 4 hours because chances are you have someplace else to go to play for the next 4 hours. So really, we really have till about 3 hours and 45 minutes. So if you really, I mean, is this really how you want to spend it? But
right, exactly.
So honestly, to a lot of them, yeah.
And some people are okay with being that dude, and there's a time and place for it, and so.
No, absolutely.
Actually, welcome to episode 120 of Squares Roundtable Podcast.
I was gonna say.
I'm Mike Boyle, and with me is Jeff.
Hello.
Yo.
Ivan will be with us shortly.
Yes, it'll be down the road a piece.
Yes.
The one song
yes,
he plays,
indeed.
Down the Road a Piece.
Yeah, that one time, by that one band, by that one
yes,
song.
this one time.
With that one band, by that one song. That's
yes.
always my favorite band.
All right. So how we doing? I guess I can start this week. I watched the season. I watched the season finale of Lower Decks.
Okay.
And it was good. And man, in summary, for my opinion of Lower Decks, is I showed up for the Easter eggs and I stayed for the characters.
Okay.
So it was entertaining, and I'm glad I saw it for free, so I'm not complaining. But
did CBS All Access had a freebie month going, or?
No, the other alternate means of.
You did a swap, or somebody else let you borrow their. Okay.
Yeah, in other words, was it the Great Material River? The river will provide.
Oh, okay.
The River of Material Possessions, or whatever it was, from Nog from PS9. And it was good. And
the river had a torrent to it.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, I liked it. And of course, with season 3 of Discovery's coming, and I might wait until I'm a few episodes in, and then I'll start with CBS All Access, and then I'll binge it maybe when the season's just about up.
I haven't looked to see how ratings for season 1 is going on CBS, because they're running season 1 right now.
Oh, season 1 is free on CBS?
Yeah, they're running it in their fall schedule.
Yeah, there are a couple of good parts in season 1, but season 2 is when it gets good with Captain Pike. I think that's when the show really takes off. Not to say that Discovery doesn't hold its own, but I'm excited by Captain Pike. No, I'm not. I'm excited by Captain Pike. Okay, yeah. I'll say it. But he is a man. He is a handsome man. But I'd like with number 1 and Spock and Pike. I'm looking forward to the Strange New Worlds. This not that Discovery can't hold its own. I like Saru, and Michael is okay. She's got a great name to her.
She's so annoying.
She gets better in season 2.
She is so. 4 episodes in, I was just like, that's it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Maybe now that it's free. Now I understand I'll be missing quite a bit like Klingon boobs, but yeah. I'm not sure.
Not best, not like the Duras sisters and their cleavage, which was better anyway, in my opinion.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'll be missing people saying shit and fuck, from what I understand. But.
Yeah, I don't know. That rolls over me. I'm like, ever since, I don't remember some people groaned when Data said shit in Generations. Like, it fit perfectly for that. In that scene.
Yeah.
But like when they used a curse word, except for for Star Trek 4 when they were in in present day. Except
for the fact that movie made millions and millions of dollars, and I'm sure it's just fine. But yeah, you guys go right ahead and be annoyed about the fact that Data said the word shit. This is why. I shouldn't say this, because Star Wars fans are just as bad.
Yeah,
Star Wars fans are just as bad. They're just worse.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers. I was waiting to get Squadron for the PS4 so I could play Star Trek Squadron, or Star Wars Squadron. I'm sorry, pardon me, sorry. Because it looks like a cool story, and I can get to fly an X-Wing. But I'm going through my YouTube channel, and all the people be all like, Star Wars ruined, Squadrons is trash. There are people on YouTube who make a living off of, like, bashing Star Wars. Or bashing everything, pretty much.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Well, but that's no different than back in the day when I was in broadcasting, and this was, and in fairness, when I first started out, like, when I was doing sports and stuff, it was, okay, let's see how snarky cool I can make a comment, because, that's hot shit.
Yeah, you're
really,
gonna shock it, man. Yeah, shock it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the truth is that really, after a while, it's like, that's easy. Can you really talk about something? Can you really have a real opinion, and can you back that opinion up with some real...
Just say that I hate it and you shouldn't like it too. Just because I hate it doesn't mean you can like it, because I hate it.
Well, it's like the old... That's why I joke around all the time about it. It's like, I don't care if you don't like pineapple, you like hot dogs with ketchup. Just because you're wrong doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah. It's a free country.
Just because you eat pineapple on pizza doesn't mean you're not still wrong. But it's okay that you do it. You go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. So what else?
Yeah.
What else did I do? I think that was
I don't know.
I've just been working. Oh God, the other day was it? What day was it? It was Saturday morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. with something in my eye. Like, how does one get something in their eye at 5 a.m?
Cats.
No, it wasn't a cat thing. I mean, it wasn't a hair or something. But anyway,
bugs.
It wasn't. No, but anyway, I was rolling in something on my pillow. Tears on my pillow.
Okay.
So I got up at 5 a.m. I'm like, oh, and I'm in physical pain because I cannot open my eyelid because I got something in my eye. So I had to run in the bathroom, and I finally got it out. And how you do pull the thing, where you grab the eyelid and you pull it over your lower lid, and then you wash it out. So then my eyes and my nose are running like crazy, and I got to go to work. So I grabbed a decongestant, and so I'm fighting sleep all day because I took something that's drowsy, that makes you drowsy. I'm like, oh, God. So then I get home Saturday, and I slept for 12 hours.
Oof.
Ugh, man, it was a rough
You didn't get the one that's like the not sleep version one?
I had it. Well, we had Sudafed, which I should have took, and then there was the other one, which is an allergy. So I have it here for when Sherry, my sister, comes to visit because she's allergic to the cat. And, oh, man. I had a rough weekend. Other than that, it was good. Just been, a few things left over from the Hasbro Pulse. I guess there was some stockbrokers event. I guess they greenlit they've set a date in 2022 for the 7th live-action Transformers movie, and that's all we know. It's just 7th. Okay, good. We don't know what it's going to be, but they've set a date in 2022. It's going to be a movie. So I'm like, okay, good. Well, we'll be there. I'll be there. But other than that, no, I don't think I have anything.
What's on the docket right now for them?
I think it's it. I think there's a Snake Eyes origin film.
Oh no, I meant Transformers. Is there anything on the horizon?
Well, they've greenlit more episodes of Cyberverse, which goes right to their Transformers YouTube channel, and that's for the kiddies. And we got a teaser for Earthrise. I don't know if we talked about that in previous episodes, but that got teased, and that's coming next year, I presume.
But I mean, is there any big screen live action, or is right now everything's kind of in? It's everything's still pattern.
Yeah. I think they're continuing the Siege series, and then the Kingdom line. Of course, this is right around time. Right about now would be on New York Comic Con, so this is when all that would be dropping. And
well, no, I'm just curious because it's been Bumblebee's how long ago now?
It was 2018. Was
it 2018? Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious because it's been now. I understand the pandemic thing is kind of. No, you're right. I think it is. Well, no, wait. That was the same year as Spider-Verse, right? I can't remember what. God, time and space is like basically
maybe it was
gone.
2017. It was either 2017 or 2018.
No, that wasn't 2017, was it? No way.
I don't know.
God, time and space seem to have stopped.
Yeah, no, this last 7 months. We had a meeting, all the staff. We had a meeting on Sunday. Of course, yesterday being my Sunday off. And yay, there's a store meeting on Sunday on my day off, so I got to go in anyway. So at least I got paid an hour to be there 20 minutes, so I'm good. But I guess our stores year to date is up by 29%. Holy shit! I mean, May was our highest sales month in the history of the store because everyone was trapped at home and everyone was stimulating the economy. And everyone was trying to find Lysol and wipes. Oh,
you said stimulate. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
5-year-old me is laughing really hard at that.
But we've had a really good year.
Stimulate hard. That was bad. I'm going to stop now.
Mm-hmm. Stimulate.
Yeah.
What else? No, I think that's it. That's it for me. How about you? How was your week?
So I did some gaming most of the weekend, Star Wars RPG. And, it's interesting because I got to see, well, I shouldn't say see it, but I got to play with a bunch of people from all over the country, which is really kind of cool. Because normally, if I were to play in person, some of these people would not be available. But at the same time, it is the best way I can put it is it's a little bit frustrating. And the reason it's frustrating is you really can't, sometimes you're really just fighting for airtime, if you know what I mean. You really are kind of okay, I need to get time to play. If you're not careful, certain people, just with how they're playing, can dominate the play of the game.
Yeah.
And that can happen in person, but there's some things where in person there's some things you can catch because you can see some things that otherwise can't be seen. There are nonverbal cues, there are things where you can kind of watch to see if this person's seems disengaged, if this person's more involved, if this person's not. You get the idea, especially as a GM. But, when you're talking about it from playing online, especially if you're not playing with everybody's cameras up, then people start going on for a bit, and it's okay, when do you plan on letting other people talk? And it's kind of frustrating because it's hey, I'm talking. Hello, over here.
Right.
Or sometimes you're
you're trying to advance the.
Right. Or I want to do something, and you're not letting me do this person's decided to talk. Or somebody decides to start talking, and you're wait a minute. That person doesn't even know what they're doing. I want to talk to that. That's what I wanted to do. Why is that person doing it? Oh, I know, because this person seems to think that they have a clue. Well, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's no. Go away. So it's kind of funny that way, because what ends up happening is it's you've got certain people where it's I find that table balance in an online game is harder in terms of balancing out time for people to play more.
Yeah, the Zoom call, aside from being in person, it really helps to be in person in a lot of ways.
Right. Well, the other thing is some people are trying to save bandwidth. Some people don't want to be on a camera. That's fine, because really in reality we don't need to be. But the irony is if people could see each other, maybe people would have different reactions, and it would be handled differently. But because you can't, it becomes a different animal. And so,
yeah,
as a result, sometimes you're like, hey, I'm trying to do something, or I'm trying to say something, or I'm trying to do this, or I'm trying to do that. And there are some options of things you can do in the actual, online rolling system and whatnot, where you could be doing things, but it assumes the GM is paying attention or the players are paying attention. And it's funny, because as the GM, I've been using it a few times to get players who are not involved as much involved, and I'll have to be like, hey, I put something in I whispered something in there for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I know they're not paying attention to that as much because they're talking.
Right, when other people are talking and there's people are just okay with waiting to take their turn or to say their piece or to let the GM know what they're doing.
Like I said, if my choices are this or not playing, my choices are this. And like I said, it's cool because I'm getting to play with some people otherwise, I'd have to travel out of state to go to a convention to go play with. But now I'm able to play with them because we're doing this all online. And I think that's really cool. But at the same time, there's that frustration where it's like, this is what it would be like if we were playing at an actual table, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can relate.
So yeah, that's but otherwise, it was fun. I did oh god, how many hours of gaming? I started it on Saturday morning. I started it at 8:30. I didn't get done until midnight.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, and then I did a game at 8:30 the next morning until about noon, about 12:30. So I got in probably about 16 hours of gaming.
Jeez. Well, that's good.
Well, yeah. That's
cool. Will you have a good time?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, like I said, it's an ongoing. So I play again. I've mentioned this before. I play in an ongoing campaign that's been around for 20 plus years. It's Star Wars related. It's based on the D6 system of Star Wars that was invented back in the 90s. Because quite frankly, it's still a better system than most of the newer systems that have been created for Star Wars since then. And it's such an easy system to use because it's pretty much all D6s, and it's one of the easiest systems you could use. So that's part of the reason why I kind of enjoy it too. And they make the dynamics of the way that the game system works are really, really easy. It makes it extremely easy to teach. It's extremely easy to play, and yet you can add some complexities to it. So, but yeah, like I said, it was really it was fun. I have a couple different characters, so I played both of them over the weekend, and yeah, that was a blast. And then here, I feel like Ivan now. Now I can sit here. I can finally start talking about. I have upcoming events for the week. I'm actually doing a live event in Singapore on Saturday morning. And when I say Saturday morning, I mean early. And you know me, I don't like mornings. But I think I gotta be up at either, if I'm lucky it's 6 a.m., but I have a feeling it's gonna be more 4 or 5 a.m. It's the first time I'm getting a chance to do anything overseas as a 30-minute presentation. And then, ironically, later that night, I'm doing a humorous speech contest. And so we'll see how that goes. But, I don't know how many people they're looking for visitors, so otherwise I'd put some links out there. Actually, if you're a friend of mine, they're on my Facebook page. So there you go. And then I think I might be gaming tomorrow night online too. So
okay, yeah,
and I'm doing a couple practices. So yeah, I'm swamped this week with stuff that.
Wow.
My DVR lately is a little bit full myself because there's this new show on Fox. I have not got a chance to look at this next thing. And then I have not gotten a chance to look at Swamp Thing since it's been on CW yet. So by the time I get around to it, I'll probably have 2 episodes of each. So it'll be interesting to see what the deal is.
Was that the one season of Swamp Thing before they came?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they moved that. So
I heard it was good.
Well, like I said, I'm curious to see because the interesting part about it is can that turn into they might bring it back if the numbers are good. If the numbers are good and they get decent numbers on it, could they bring it back? And so the answer is we'll see because, here's the reason. Here's the thing. They're bringing it back because they didn't have anything in the can for some of their other programming, like a lot of their superhero stuff and a lot of this stuff. So the truth is, this is an opportunity for them, which is, we're going to bring in Swamp Thing and we're going to run it. Ditto with Discovery. I mean, Discovery is an opportunity for CBS to see if they could convert a couple people to watching it off of the network and see if they can get somebody to buy, the package and watch it.
And I saw that season 1 of Picard and season 2 of Discovery are out on DVD.
I have no idea.
For those that still buy DVDs like me.
Right. See, to me, that's the part that's interesting, is they went with Discovery as their answer. And it's funny, I want to talk about something. I don't know if you saw it. There's a little bit of Star Trek news that's out there. I don't know if you saw the article or not.
What's that?
About where they were talking about the long-term future of Star Trek. Let me see if I can...
There's other project called Star Trek Prodigy, and Kate Mulgrew has been tapped to return as Janeway.
Right,
so
that's
cool.
one of those projects, but here, let me see if I can find it. I had it up a second
That's
ago.
One of my YouTube rabbit holes, watching Voyager clips on YouTube.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like Voyager and Enterprise have gotten a lot more love since the J.J. Abrams Bad Robot stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny because it's like, for a while people were like, Voyager, it's, or you get that reaction a little bit about Enterprise that way too, where it was like,
Yeah, with Voyager and Enterprise, of course, the same thing with DS9. I was all in on TNG, but then with DS9, because they were on GN and their scheduling was always off because they had the ball games, so I could never catch DS9 as it aired. So then I was off and on with DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise.
But DS9 to me, it's funny. As somebody who's not as much of a Star Trek fan, DS9 to me was probably my favorite.
Well, yeah, a lot of people say that's favorite. And that's second to TNG for me. So
I would put it over TNG.
Yeah,
I would put it over TNG. And this will not be popular amongst most Star Trek fans.
No, it is quite popular.
I would put it over the original.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not of that generation. My attention span was too short for growing up watching Star Trek back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. So, TOS is... Oh, yeah, they made fun of TOS. That's the thing with Lower Decks, is they throw all these Easter eggs. Like, there was a scene where they're talking about this trip to one planet, and they showed a scene from the animated series where, like the Filmation, Kirk and Spock on one of their pads. And one guy said, yeah, I love those old TOS days. And the other crewman says, TOS? Yeah, I call it those old scientists.
Nice.
So
I'm looking at this here. This is an article from comicbook.com. Apparently, Alex Kurtzman was on a podcast with The Hollywood Reporter.
Okay.
And apparently, the spin-offs you talked about, which is Strange New Worlds,
Yep.
And then the Kate Mulgrew thing. With the animated, with Star Trek Prodigy, which is with Kate Mulgrew.
Yep.
And apparently there's a Section 31
spin-off
that's happening, too.
That was teased right after Season 1 of Discovery, because Season 1 of Discovery deals heavily with Section 31 and the Mirror Universe.
Mm.
And of course, what was it? What's her name? The Mirror Universe Captain... what's her name? Michelle Yeoh. She was captain of the Shenzhou. I can't remember her name. But anyway, she's part of Section 31 now. Got it. So they were gonna have her in a spin-off series about Section 31.
So apparently they had this guy who was part of their Star Trek powwow. And talked about how he got off a call with the network mapping out through 2027. They said here's a quote. Now, when I say that it's not set in stone, it's just here's a plan and here's what we're looking at. Here's how different shows are going to drop. Consider the fact that it takes a year from inception, starting production, to airing. You have to plan way, way in advance to get these things done. You have to stay on top of the zeitgeist and make sure what you're doing is relevant. So you have to plan far in advance now in different kinds of ways, like safety and budget, to seem loose and improvisational. But there's nothing loose and improvisational about it. It includes several more seasons of Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
Beyond Season 3. According to him, quote, I'm going to say in all honesty, there are years and years left on Discovery.
Okay.
I think, and again, this is the quote, I think this is because Star Trek in general has a long history of something like 7 season minimums, and we just jumped into the future. It's not that it's a brand new show, but it's a whole new set of variables with a whole new set of ideas and stories. I don't think we'll be limiting ourselves going, we're capped out at this place. I'll tell you when the show starts to feel stale to us, we will be rallying to stop it. But for now, it doesn't feel like we're running into a shortage of stories. So that's...
Sure, bring it on.
So, So apparently, that's the answer to that. Although it's funny because they talk a lot about Discovery. They're not talking about Picard, which I've heard all kinds of
I presume they've started? I don't think they've started filming Season 2 yet.
I don't think so either. Well, I've heard rumblings that Patrick Stewart wasn't exactly 100% happy, and that maybe there isn't going to be a Season 2. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I gotta be honest. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was okay.
I understand the people who sit there and say, that's not Star Trek, and I totally get where they're coming from there. If anything, to me, it felt like they were trying to do Star Trek as Firefly or some show similar to that.
Yeah. And it had a bit of a Mass Effect vibe to it.
Or dark, what is it? Dark Matter or Andromeda, that those kinds of shows,
right?
Where it was like kind of like I kind of laugh. I almost kind of feel like it was like they were trying to go Star Warsy a little bit with different archetypes as part of a crew, and it was we're going to show this what it looks like when you're not part of like Starfleet and you're in that in between zone, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part of me where I'm interested in it, but yeah, like I said, the ending to that whole thing with him and Data at the end was just, there's still part of me where I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, it was not what I was expecting, so that's for sure.
No, well. I mean, they leave a lot of cliffhangers and they leave a lot of things open for possibility down the road. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like, okay, so what's the plan? Because they certainly didn't leave it where it's like, okay, Picard's going back to Starfleet anytime soon, if you know what I mean. So it's like, okay, what is it, the ragtag crew? You know what I mean? I mean, it's definitely a different feel for Star Trek, and you certainly can get away with it in some ways because you've got Picard, you've got Patrick Stewart, and that's going to be a draw. You know, I don't know. You're more of a Trek fan than I am. What's your feeling on it?
Yeah, Picard was okay. I mean, I'm sure just give me more of it. I'll be happy with it. But, yeah, it did feel like kind of, although this is early 25th century, so it detaches from that. Like, with Lower Decks, I mean, it feels like Star Trek. It takes place like 5 years after the end of DS9, so it's just after the Dominion War. And there's still, some ships are still wearing, like, the gray shoulder pads of the uniform. But, you know, you saw Lower Decks, they wear a different uniform than what we've seen yet in Star Trek. And with Picard, it's, you know, of course, the destruction of the Romulan homeworld is canon. You know, and then Spock splinters off and creates the Kelvin timeline. So, I mean, that is, yeah, the Romulus is gone. That's canon, so they deal mostly in that. Of course, you watched Picard, but I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm not hating it.
See, now that would be an interesting idea, is, so they split up timeline. You know,
when
the
Spock,
part.
yeah, when Spock travels back, whatever,
right.
that creates
But the irony is...
Or, I mean, the Abrams movie is the Kelvin timeline.
Right, exactly. But the interesting part is that with that concept, you could almost reboot with an entirely new cast for Next Generation, or even DS9 with a new timeline.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, if that's a direction you really wanted to go, if you're really going to do that.
And for the last 2 years, we've had off and on with another Abrams film, and Quentin Tarantino's going to take over. It's going to be R-rated. They're going to bring back Chris Pine.
Yeah.
And none of it's happened, especially now with the Rona.
Well, my understanding is that they're having trouble. You know, it's funny. I was having that conversation with someone who's a little bit more on the inside of some of this stuff, and you know, I'm always surprised by how much they still need financing from outside sources, like banks,
Paramount,
or
I mean CBS.
All these companies that, like, they'll go to, like, you know, some, you know, they joke around in the movies about, you know, going out in the middle of nowhere and meeting some sheik with a whole suitcase full of money. And the irony is it's not necessarily a joke. Or in that regard with banks, where, you know, how much are they going to be willing to finance this movie?
And you see now where you hear more about all the Chinese are getting in on Hollywood. Right.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, for example, I mean, one of the reasons why, to answer your question, one of the reasons why the Tarantino thing was being considered for a movie was, honestly, financiers were willing to put money towards its Tarantino Star Trek
when you
movie.
got that name behind it, then they'll
say,
okay.
Right, and they said, okay, and then it kind of died, and that's the reason why you're not seeing anything about Star Trek movies, is right now, there's no financing. There's nobody right now is willing to give money at the moment to
for
finance
a movie. No, because
for an actual movie.
Right, because theaters are
even before theaters. Even before theaters, it's been a problem. It's been a problem before theaters because really, Star Trek movies, they've had their hits here and there.
But they weren't like tentpole blockbusters.
Right.
The first thing, I think Star Trek Beyond did really good, I think.
The first Star Trek did one.
The first one and the third one, I think, did really good.
I don't know about the third one. I know the first one. The first one where
that was what you'd consider a tentpole. I mean, the Star Trek movies they sometimes would air like they'd be in theaters like in October and November and Christmas time. We'd have the TNG movies. I remember
well,
distinctly,
and the thing is too with the TNG, like for example, with the TNG movies. The first couple TNG movies did really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Insurrection was okay.
Right, and then the next...
And then Nemesis was...
Right, the next couple were not good.
No.
And I don't know what their thought process was on why those were the choices of movies. Because the truth is, the smartest thing they could have done was the direction they didn't go for a third movie, which is, why wouldn't you have made the third movie with Q?
They had the season 7 finale of TNG was all about him and Q.
Yeah, but that's what drew... the reason why they had a good second movie was, okay, it's the Borg.
Yeah.
It's the Borg.
And the first one was obviously the bridging the gap where they're passing the torch between Kirk and Picard.
Right.
And the Borg one was really good. And
right, but the point being is, the first one was the passing the torch. Oh, this is going to be interesting. And honestly, keep in mind too, I'll never forget, the truth is, there were a lot of people at that point where it's like, at that point in the 90s, there weren't the sci-fi franchises. We were all clamoring for some sort of Star Wars, Star Trek, anything.
And this is because episode 1 didn't come out till 99.
Right.
And Star Wars was the dark. This is what the Star Wars fans call it, the dark times.
Well, it's not even just Star Wars. I mean, Star Trek wasn't exactly...
Well, Star Trek was in its heyday back then.
Right, but here's the interesting part. Star Trek, at that point, from episode 6 until Generations, that's a while, too. There wasn't a real movie sci-fi franchise. And it was funny. It's one of the reasons why Stargate did well enough in the movies to eventually become what it became. Where it turned into becoming a TV show versus staying as a movie. But it did well enough for someone to go, hey, you know what? We can make a movie out of it. We can make TV out of this.
With MacGyver.
Right. And keep in mind, the initial show wasn't exactly regular TV. It wasn't syndicated, and it wasn't on Sci-Fi. It was on Showtime. And then they were syndicating out after a few seasons. Oh,
that's right. I remember.
Showtime.
Yeah, Stargate started on Showtime.
So it was an exclusive. It was an exclusive show to Showtime. So it was kind of like what today would be like when it's like, okay, the only way you can watch Watchmen is to watch HBO. Same idea. So the truth is that's about as close as you can get to movie in some ways, if you think about it. At least at that time, that was kind of a big deal. Was, okay, if you want to watch Stargate, okay, you better have Showtime. Oh, okay, I need to get Showtime. But the numbers were good. I'll never forget, people were surprised that the numbers were good on Stargate, as good as they were, because they were like, oh, they didn't think it was going to do that well. Well, people were dying for some sort of decent sci-fi
TV, and then we had DS9 with Babylon 5.
Well, not even TV, but I'm talking about movies.
Mm-hmm, right.
I mean, there just wasn't...
No, and comic book movies had run their course for a short while. So,
well, there wasn't really comic book movies in the 90s. I mean, they didn't happen until...
a one-off or so Batman film, that was it.
Right, exactly. I mean...
It wasn't until X-Men in 2000 right. and Spider-Man of Tobey Maguire. Oh yeah, I did watch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man the other day. That still holds up. Yeah. Some of the effects don't hold up, but it was still one of my favorite superhero origin films. Was the first.
So as long as we're talking about Spider-Man, I guess let's go this direction, which is so now it's pretty much confirmed for this third Spider-Man movie. We're going to get Doctor Strange.
Yay.
So,
I'm good with
now
that.
Suddenly it's, okay, Jamie Foxx is playing Electro. There's some sort of talk about Kirsten Dunst coming back. Okay. So, there's and let's be honest, Doctor Strange's movie that's coming out before this is supposed to happen is about the multiverse.
Right, the multiverse of madness, comes out.
It's the multiverse.
This,
And we know that WandaVision falls into that somewhere too.
Yep.
So it's very interesting to see it'll be very interesting to see how this all. I mean, this is where all the pieces are starting to look like they're going to fall. Maybe we're dead wrong about this, but let's be honest. Are you against the idea of a Spider-Man movie with Holland, Garfield, and Maguire?
If they do it right, I mean, Sony's proven, especially with this Spider-Verse movie, that it can work. But I don't know. I mean, Maguire.
Here's the interesting part to me. And this is where I'll toss it, which is, one, this is your opportunity to create a live-action Miles Morales, too. So then you'd have 4. Okay? And, look, I love the Sinister Six. They're a great villain team. Don't get me wrong. But one of the problems that I have with the Sinister Six is they're a powerful enough group that I'm not sure Spider-Man can beat them by himself.
Right. Well, he's got to, team up to...
Right.
With his other selves.
To me, what would be cool, and now you see where I'm going with this, what would be cool is if you had Miles Morales, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six.
And throw in Tom Hardy as Venom. Yay!
Oh, God, fuck that. You know what I would really love? I would love John Mulvaney, where they figured out a way to put in an animated Peter Porker and put in Spider-Ham.
There you go.
I would love that. That would be... I gotta be honest with you. If they could figure out a way to make a Roger Rabbit kind of style movie with Spider-Ham, that would be... I'm in. I am so in.
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. I think it'd be hysterical.
Even as just like a cameo, maybe. I mean, because I think they've saved Spider-Ham for Spider-Verse 2, whatever they're doing with that. Which I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Sony hasn't, especially the last 7 months with the Rona. I'm sure it's in the works, but I'm looking forward to Spider-Verse 2.
Well, I know they're working on it, but the interesting part is, keep in mind, there's an example of where it's interesting, though, because, look, Mobius was supposed to have been out by now, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we talked about this, all those other projects.
Right, all those other projects. Yeah. And it's funny, since we've last done the show, now Warner's has backed up a rackload of projects to the point where it's funny, there are rumors out there. God, it's always amusing when you'll enjoy this. I had friends of mine who were like, "Oh yeah, Wonder Woman's going to go direct to video on demand." I'm like, "Where did you see it?" "Oh, we got this covered."
Oh no!
And I'm like, "No. And I'm like, no. And they're like, "No, no." And then somebody shows me another source where it's like,
bullshit.
I've never heard it. Yeah, I've never even heard of this site before. And it's like, no. What are you doing? No, these are not sites. It's like, I feel bad because it's like, I don't want to be like a jerk and be like, this is fake. This is fake geek news, but this is essentially fake geek news.
Yeah, it is.
It's
not a reputable source.
No. Just like, what is it, Cosmic News? Is that the other one that's real bad?
I don't know. Well, some of these are just clickbaity bullshit websites.
Well, oh yeah. Well, and the worst part is some of the legit ones now are starting to do it, because it's like, they're just searching for content.
Yeah, like you go on yahoo.com, like every 7th article is some clickbait shit.
Well, no, like some of these, like your comic book resources and your comicbook.coms, and a lot of these guys now, I just laugh because it's like, it's just gotten to the point where I kind of laugh a little bit because I'm like, this is my favorite. You tell me. Fan theory from this Reddit user.
Right, a Reddit thread.
Yeah,
right.
A Reddit thread. Here's this idea.
Oh yeah, that's the most reputable source ever.
Well, it's like, it's not even a source. It's like,
no, it's not.
This is
somebody pining on Reddit.
Right, and now you're trying to make it
into a news.
Into news, and it's like, it's like, this is not only is this an opinion, it's not even an opinion based on fact.
Totally
or
fake news.
anything you can. Yeah, no. It's like, it's funny because I'll click on things and I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Well, Reddit full of so and so. No. Or Twitter user blah blah blah. No. This isn't real.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of projects, I posted the Squares Roundtable Facebook page. I guess the MODOK series is gonna be stop motion.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a clip. I posted it to the Squares page. But I guess Patton Oswalt is going to be the voice of MODOK.
Right. That I'm aware.
Yeah. I didn't know those. I did not know those.
Right. No, I was aware that he was involved in those projects in some ways, and I think, wasn't Kevin Smith at some point involved?
No, that was the Howard the Duck series that got canned.
Was it that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's coming to McHenry. He's coming to our drive-in November 1st.
Is he really?
I think I'm going to go. That's for the Jane Silent Bob Get Old podcast that did us.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to maybe carpool because it's like $100 per car of 4 people. So it's $25 a ticket. So
boy, he must be hurting, you know. He must be hurting. Comic-Con's the season.
Yeah, exactly. No public appearances. No, so I think I'm going to see if I can carpool with some friends and see if I can go. That's right here in town, so it's Sunday. This Sunday after Halloween. I think I'm going to find
By the way, just so you're aware, it's interesting. So I guess Disney went in and reorganized Disney Plus on some of the
yeah, I saw the headline about these reclassification of the Marvel films.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go through this real fast because I'm curious your take. So, obviously missing the Spider-Man films.
Yeah, because obviously Sony, haha.
Right. So it's funny because later I'm going to, quite frankly, I was going to ask you afterwards, where do we think that those fit? Well, we know where one fits in, obviously, but I'm curious where Homecoming fits in. So now this is the supposed official order now, minus the Spider-Man movies. Captain America First Avenger, Captain Marvel,
yep,
Iron Man 2, Thor, The Avengers, Thor Dark World.
Yeah, Thor 2, yep.
Right, but originally Thor Dark World was after Iron Man 3. But now Thor Dark World is before Iron Man 3.
Oh, they've reshuffled the timeline of the MCU?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just the relabeling. Okay. Oh, all right.
No, they reshuffled in order. They reshuffled the order. So let me restart this. So obviously Captain America, First Avenger.
Yep.
Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2, Thor, and then Avengers.
What about Hulk?
Now,
what about the Hulk?
Okay, there's another example of something that's not
that's
here
supposed to take place. Yeah, the Hulk, the what's his name? The guy who got fired and got replaced by Ruffalo. Oh shit.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. Ed Norton.
Yeah.
But that's right, because you know what? That's not in here either, because technically that's Universal's control. So,
right, so that's not going to be on Disney+.
So I forgot about that. But yeah, so that's probably, was that before or after Iron Man 2?
It was after Iron Man because
Iron Man 1 or Iron Man 2?
It was after Iron Man 1. Hulk is officially between Iron Man 1 and 2.
Okay, so we'll assume that again. So there's another one missing. There's a perfect example. Here's where some of the changes happen. So now they have Thor Dark World before Iron Man 3.
What about the Avengers?
Well, I said the Avengers.
Okay.
Okay, so I zoomed through that really fast. Apparently you missed it.
Okay.
So essentially at this point it would be Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2. We're missing Hulk, which would be right there. Yep. Then Thor. Then the Avengers. Now it's Thor Dark World.
Right.
Iron Man 3. Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Then it would be Guardians of the Galaxy
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yep.
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yep.
Ant-Man. Here's where things get real interesting. So Captain America Civil War, Black Panther.
Yeah, because the events of Black Panther take place immediately after Civil War.
Again, I'm just saying that this is what the New Order looks like.
Right.
Black Panther, Doctor Strange.
Yep.
So the real question is, where does Spider-Man Homecoming fit in?
Homecoming should be right between Black Panther and Doctor Strange.
Okay. Thor Ragnarok.
Then Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And you know the rest.
And then, now here's interesting. Actually, this order doesn't make 100% sense.
Why?
Because in Ant-Man and the Wasp, that, at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp...
Is the snap, yeah.
Is the snap.
Right.
So this isn't right either. Avengers Infinity War should be ahead of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Although it's weird.
And it did in the theaters.
Weird.
It did.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it did.
No.
Ant-Man and the Wasp came out in July after Infinity War.
Right. But according to this list, now it's ahead of Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
No. Okay.
Then so Endgame and then Far From Home.
You're right. Then maybe this list is not 100% right.
Yeah.
It's funny because this is supposedly how they reorganized it on Disney Plus, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And then the other news is that I guess they came out with news on the Green Lantern show.
The Green Lantern show. The Green Lantern show.
The HBO Max show.
On HBO, the Lantern show.
That apparently it's going to be Guy Gardner, Sinestro, who else did they say? Kilowog.
Of course, Kilowog.
Basically, the long and the short of it is...
No Hal Jordan, no Jessica Cruz, no Jon Stewart.
No. Jessica Cruz is in it.
Okay, cool.
It's Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz. I don't know who that is. Again, I think that's a newer character that I don't know. Alan Scott is the interesting name, which I'm a little surprised by. Because technically he's not, his lantern is different than all the other lanterns, but okay. Sinestro, Kilowog, I mentioned Guy Gardner, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the names that are missing would be Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and Kyle Rayner.
Yeah, I say the thing is a lot of the normies wouldn't know who Kyle Rayner is.
Depends.
Like I know Hal Jordan from the old Super Friends, the Legion of Doom, and of course Jon Stewart is from the Bruce Timm, WB animated Justice League.
Right. I thought Kyle Rayner might be here. I thought this would be a smart place to put him here, which is interesting because he's not here at all.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll show up later.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that they're trying to use these characters that are not as heavily used for this show. Mm-hmm. But who knows? I know that there's talk about Hal Jordan for movies. And, certainly there's enough interest in... Look, there's the theory that Diggle is... John Diggle, who's technically his real last name is Stewart, that, maybe they'll do something in the CW verse with him as the Green Lantern somehow.
Right.
And maybe that's why they're not doing it, or maybe they're saving it where, they'll bring him in sometime down the road later to be the Jon Stewart for the HBO Max show. As a possibility down the road. I don't know.
Well, maybe he'll be part of the new Justice League cut.
I doubt it. I doubt they'll use anybody from the Arrowverse. I think the most interesting part is, because you've seen Stargirl.
Yep. Most of it.
They did. Yeah, except for the last episode. But you've seen enough to know that one of the artifacts in Stargirl
Right, is the lantern, yeah.
Is the lantern,
and all the Alex Ross art of all the of the JSA.
Right. So to me, this is interesting about Alan Scott because, as usual, certain people are like, "Oh, well, he can be in both." No, he can't. That's not how Warner Brothers is run, or at least it hasn't been in the past.
Yeah,
they have not liked the idea. They have not liked the idea of when they're going to do, like Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad at one point was happening in the Arrow TV show, and then it kind of petered out. And the reason it did was because they were now doing it as part of the TV. Just like, they had plans for Deathstroke for the Justice League movie, as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, well, now we can't have him in the Arrowverse. So now maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
Maybe things have changed. Maybe the thought process and the idea has changed. Maybe they won't. Maybe this won't be a problem. But in the past, it's been a problem. They don't like the idea of certain characters being on TV when they're doing certain characters in the movie.
Right. That's why we got Cyborg on Doom Patrol instead of Titans. But.
Right, because at the time, Cyborg was still doing. They still had plans for
Cyborg and the Justice League post
and his own standalone movie.
Yeah.
Now they don't.
Yeah.
It's too bad. That's one of the things I not gonna lie, pisses me off.
And I know this whole everything being reshuffled, even with Marvel and DC. Of course, now we got news that the Batman isn't going to be until 2022, and that blows chunks. Give me a Batman movie, damn it! It's supposed to be a year from now. Only you can't get the shit together in a year.
Well,
they put out a teaser trailer, just like was it over at San Diego Comic-Con or something?
No, they didn't put it. It was Fandom.
That's right. It was DC Fandom. That's right.
It was Fandom. But, here's, again, and this is the other interesting part is, and this just came out before we came on the air, which is that there's breaking news about the fact that Disney is now looking at streaming as their primary focus in terms of direction, in terms of the company. And I actually caught the CEO on CNBC talking about how that's their new focus and direction. And my guess is they took one look at their forecast for 2021 and sat there and said, we got to refocus where we're going to go because we don't know what's going to happen with movie theaters in 2021. We don't know when we're going to be able to fully get people back in theaters, period.
Right.
And
sometime
the other thing
next year, we hope.
The other thing is I'm curious to see what happens. They own 6 parks.
Yeah, Disney World is in Florida's open. Disneyland's still closed.
Right, and I have no idea about the other 4.
Right.
So it becomes a question of, could we see them sell the parks?
Wow.
In an effort to streamline and get out of that jam. But the truth is, when things are good, the parks are profitable.
Yeah, and it's Disney is a huge cash generator. I mean, you look at how much... We talked to Ivan about this. Ivan is late, but Ivan's been to Disney World, and you know how much shit costs down there at Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't been down there in a long time, but I also have people who live down that way, and I know a few people who work for them, and
you can get your little
right. And it's interesting to see what the costs are now to stay, where in certain places, where to stay, whatnot. I mean, I remember as a kid, maybe I was lucky. I mean, I ended up when I was a kid, we stayed at the Contemporary or the Polynesian, and that's really all you had.
Hello?
There we go.
Okay, there we go. We got it. It's all good. So we're at a point in discussion, Ivan, where we were talking about how with the lockdowns, Disney World is open in Florida with major restrictions, but Disneyland is closed because Disney is reorganizing. They're focusing on streaming instead of, obviously, the films. So you can tell us a bit about going to Disney World and how expensive it is.
Well, yeah, Disney is by no means for the budget minded. I mean, when it comes down to that whole situation, you have to really plan, and you have to really think outside of the box when it comes down to your airfare, your lodgings, and a great deal of things. I mean, I remember going there back in 2006 and then again in 2009, and for a family of 3, it cost us, ballpark figure close to $5,000.
Where'd you stay?
Well, we stayed at the resorts on the property.
Right.
And,
which one?
Pardon me? Oh, well, we stayed at the Rock and Roll the first time we went, the Rock and Roll resort, and then we went to Movie Time Resort the second time we went.
Okay. So those aren't even like and the scary part is those aren't even considered, from what I remember, and I could be wrong about this, those aren't even considered the most expensive ones.
Well, yes, that's true. Again, like it says, if you really need to think out of the box if you're going to do it when you don't got a lot of money to spend, and the best way to do it is to prepare in advance. Do your homework. Check out for what they would call bundle deals, where you could go get and work on airfare, work on lodgings, work on getting the food voucher. Food vouchers are great.
Admission? Getting admission added to the bundle?
Well, admission is always going to be that sort of thing, but they do try, but if you do a bundle, you can work out certain things, like if you go onto a resort, like we did, and we're not talking even the big major hotels that are on the property. I mean, we're talking about the smaller, because they've got certain ones with different themes that address different themes within the park. So that would be the best way to go if you're looking to save a few dollars, is to do it that way. Again, food voucher, definitely the way to go, because we paid one price for a multitude of food vouchers, which allowed us 3 different sets of meal a day. We were there for 14 days. Okay.
Whoa.
So,
14 days. Holy cow.
That's $5,000 for 2 weeks. That's not bad, actually.
That's not bad at all, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and that, like I said, that also included early admittance to the park, or if you want to stay a few hours after the park closed, they allowed you to do that with your payment, to doing it from the smaller resorts on the property. You don't need to have a car. You don't even need to rent a car, because the buses that they have there, they have their own bus system. Takes you anywhere to any one of the 4 parks. Also included in that price is the hopper, which you got to go to any of the 4 different parks within the framework of Disney World. So that was also very nice, because if you try to do it separately, it gets costly. Like if you're going to Disney's Adventure, or if you're going to Movie Disney, or if you're going to some of the other things. If you can get one that encompasses the hopper, that is your best bet. It's a one price all for going to any one of the parks within the frame of a day. So you could go to the actual Disney World, and then go to Epcot Center another day. You could go to Movie Disney another day. You could go to Animation Disney another day. You could go to the Great Adventure another day. See, when you do it by the hopper.
Is Great Adventure the same thing as Animal Kingdom, or is that different?
No, it's different. Yeah,
right.
And
what part is Animal Kingdom in?
Animal Kingdom. Park. Yeah, Animal Kingdom is relatively new. We got to ride the new roller coaster that they just installed that year. That was just, it was exciting. In 2006 was the very first time I had ever gone to Disney World, you know, and the fact that our resorts were nice. They had a lot of great amenities. You had a pool. They had, you know, servers to serve you drinks at the pool. They had pizza service if you want to order a pizza. They bring it to your room. If you give an explanation that you need a small Frigidaire, they work that out for you so that way you can go, you know, save a few extra dollars. Here's some tips for you. Save a few extra dollars by going to the grocery store that's right across the street from Disney World.
Stock up the fridge. Yeah, get some sandwiches.
Yeah, you get your bread, you get your little meat, your little cheeses, a little bit of milk, some cereal, a small cereal, and you save a few dollars that way. Right. The food voucher is not limited. You don't have a limit as to where you could go with your food voucher, but again, you have to prepare. You always have to reserve in advance to go to any one of the number of restaurants in Epcot.
Yeah, like, Epcot's the real trick. I mean, in fairness, I haven't been to the parks, actually physically in the parks, since I was a teenager. And at the time when I went, Epcot was
fairly new.
Epcot was fairly new. And I remember that too, because I remember back in the day, like you had to basically, at the beginning of the day, when you walked into Epcot, you need to pretty much make your reservations for all the places you wanted to eat at the beginning of the day.
Right, exactly.
If you don't, you can forget.
You're waiting. Yeah, you're waiting.
You can forget it.
Right, you're waiting. Either you're going to be waiting a long time, or you're just not going to get in at all. In fact, when we were there, we did all the reservations online in advance. And
right,
we weren't able to go to one restaurant, and that was the Canadian restaurant of all places, which had a reservation wait list of almost a year.
Wow!
Wow!
See, the amusing part to me is they didn't have a Canadian at the time that I went.
Yeah, but also
the most popular one when I was a kid, and you had to fight to make sure you got in. We always figured out a way to get in. That was the first one we always ran for, always, to make sure we either got in for lunch or dinner, was the Italian place.
Oh, yeah. And then,
that
of course,
place is amazing.
That place rocks. It's expensive.
They might have the best Italian, they might have the best fettuccine Alfredo I've ever had in the world.
Yes, I agree with you on that. Had that. And then if you go to Germany, or if you go to, especially if you go to, when we went to the part in Japan, and we went to the restaurant there. That also is a wonderful restaurant. That's also a wonderful experience. Of all the ones in Epcot, I love the Japanese restaurant that we went to there. We did the German restaurant, and that was really good. The French one was, not to me, just to me. I'm sure other people have more palates to French cooking, but it didn't appeal to me all that much. What else? Let me see. Then, also, they had
I got sick. I remember getting sick on the German food. I remember that.
Whoa.
And okay. I remember that the English pub place that we thought would have great prime rib was not good at all.
No.
It wasn't good. And I remember Mexico had good food. I remember, again, this is 30 years
90s,
ago.
Early 90s, late 80s?
Oh no, 80s.
Okay.
We're talking 80s. When I went, there were 2 hotels. If you wanted to stay on campus, there were 2 hotels. It was the Polynesian and the Contemporary, and we stayed at both. And there were advantages and disadvantages to both. The Polynesian was interesting because they used to do, depending on when you were there, they actually would do a luau down on the beach.
That's what they did when I went there, because they still do the luau at the beach. Of course, by the time we went, Stitch was the big to-do over there. Lilo and Stitch was the big thing.
Right.
And of course, they had their characters. We took the boat from, the main part of Disney over to Polynesian Village. We got to hang out at the beach. Yeah. We got to eat the food. We got to meet the characters. It was about the time of Soraya's birthday, so we managed to get all kinds of pictures, which was nice. Right. That was another nice thing. As soon as you get to the park, they hand you a little card that, what it does is it encodes all the photographs. You go up to the photographers, you give them this card, and they take the pictures, and it encodes the negative onto this card. So that way, at the end of the day, you go to any number of their kiosks, and you put the card in, and you get to see all the photographs, and then you can take whatever photographs you want right there. Also, if you don't want to do it that way, you can actually, when you go home, you can take it to any number of, photographers, like to a Walmart or something like that. Mm. And they give you a discount if you do like what they call bulk drop. So we ended up getting like 300-400 pictures, and we got all, and it's all good quality stuff. It was all digital when we went there, so it was all digital photography. So it was all top drawer.
I would imagine by now they've got to have it where you can pretty much pick it up online almost. Instead, so that basically you could practically put them straight to like your social media and whatnot while you're there. I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, when I went, they were just starting to get into all that. I mean, and with that whole situation, thanks, baby. So anyway, with that situation, you end up going there, and like it says, if you have to be smart about it. So you talk to the person that you book your flights with. Hey, do you have any bundles? What does the bundle have that I could buy for X amount of dollars? Can I get the resort, the voucher, the food vouchers, the early entries, but like it says, knowledge is power. Research your stuff in advance. But like it says, we got 14 days out of the deal. We paid.
Yeah, that's pretty good for the amount of money you spent.
Yeah, so and it was great. It was a great time.
When you said 5,000 was, oh my God! And
like a week. No, it was
not even that. I was like, okay, maybe he was there. What? Wow, you really spent a lot for like 3-4 days, but it's like
no
2 weeks. That's not.
Now, did that include like T-shirts and souvenirs and all that?
No, T-shirts, souvenirs, and all that. Yeah, that like any place else, that's how they keep their business going. You're going to pay for the shirt. You're going to pay for the
obviously, but I mean, like
ring. You're going to pay for all the incidentals.
Right, but food, travel, and lodging, that was all 5.
Yeah, that was all 5 within the
not bad.
That's not. Like
I said, but this is 2009 money. This is 2020 now, especially afterward with
everything going on.
What's going on now? I mean, it's probably going to be higher now.
I would say 14 days in today's money. I would say roughly around 8,000-9,000.
I would almost double it. I bet.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just a ballpark figure, but
Were they still doing the electric parade on the lake?
They were still doing it. They were doing the electric. They were still doing the electric parade, but also they did Mickey and the Villains, which was really cool because they had this parade. Excuse me.
So, like when I was a kid, one of the reasons it was cool to stay at the Contemporary was they had like the dock in the back where they had like the pool, and it kind of went. You could like be out there in the evening hours. So if you were watching, like, because the electric parade was on the water,
right?
So
yes.
if you were at the Contemporary, you literally could sit. Well, but the thing is, it couldn't have been like where I was at the Contemporary when I was watching it as a kid. I mean, maybe 100 yards away. I mean, I was that close, where it was like, wow. I mean,
and what's nice too is that they don't have a no photography law. And depending on what it is you went to, there were certain attractions you weren't allowed to take pictures in because they had the photographers, and if you wanted pictures, you could. But there were a lot of things, like a lot of the shows I went to, I was able to film I was able to film, certain aspects. Like when I went to England in Epcot, I went into England and they had a group called the British Revolution, which was, the Beatles. But what was nice is that they came out and they performed for 15 minutes. You had the 1964 Beatles, which they were fabulous. They were really, really good.
Would you say they're fab?
But I mean, really good. They were really, really, well, yeah, they were fab. Okay, yeah. But then, of course, like, you wait 15 minutes.
Totally went right past that. He was not even there. He was like, okay.
Yeah, it took me a second. Okay, but, and then, of course, you waited 15 minutes, and then you got the late 1960 Beatles, and then they did a set. And then they also had the American stage where they had a number of the old 60s bands playing out there, as well. And, there's just always something going on. We also got involved because at the time, the Kim Possible cartoon was very popular. And so they handed us cell phones and we would get involved in these kind of like, they would call you on the phone. It's like,
an interactive caper.
Like an interactive caper. Hi, this is Kim Possible. We need you to go over to such and such a place because this is happening. We need to meet you there. Sometimes meet you there. They have a prize waiting for you. Sometimes you'll get a meet and greet with Kim Possible or Ron Stoppable, or you would get, or sometimes if you got lucky, you would get like Daisy, or you would get like Goofy, or you would like get the genie from Aladdin. It was like that type of a thing. And it was just, like I said, I have to say, for the 14 days, there was always something to do. There was never really any downtime unless you created downtime. Like in the evenings after we were done running around, I go to the pool, and just hang around by the pool for a bit, or just kind of sit outside. The paths are marked with all kinds of information plaques everywhere, and all kinds of places where you could take pictures, and and it was a very fulfilling thing. I mean, I've got I got 4 sets of ears for the 2 trips I went. I got the set of ears that light up. I had the 50th anniversary ears. I got the golden ears, with my name on them and everything, Soraya and everybody, we had our names on them. It was really cool. And, so with that being said, yeah, it was very fulfilling. Yeah, we did 2 weeks both times because, we knew we wanted to make sure we saw everything and that we got to do everything and stuff. There were some times when we kind of rushed through a few things, but for most of it, yeah, it was really quite the experience. I'm hoping to.
You think you'd go back?
Oh, I would go back. I would go back in a heartbeat if I had the finances to swing that. Yeah, I would love to take Julie with me and go back over there and just really do it up. I know we probably wouldn't be able to get on the rides now anymore, but at least we could do all the shows, all the 3D shows. And all of the different attractions, all the ride-along type of things. And,
you ever thought about doing one of the Disney cruises?
Well, the thought has crossed my mind. I mean, I'm not afraid of water, so it's like, yeah, I think I would do it if I had the opportunity. Yeah, I would, do that. So, would you?
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know, like Disney World, is. Still can be a swinging place for a single guy, but it's not just for families and kids. So there's parts of the thing. There's parts of the park that are like, hey, grown-ups, man.
Oh yeah, well there was downtown Disney, and that's where they had all the fancy restaurants. They had all. So
there's Waka Chicka Wow Disney. Is that what you're telling me?
There's a good nightlife for
yeah, there is.
For couples and people with
not
just kids.
No, there is an area that's called Downtown Disney, and it's strictly for the grown.
Downtown, if you know what I mean. Nudge, nudge, wink,
yeah,
wink.
Down, like, do they go downtown in downtown or no?
No, they don't go down in downtown, but they do definitely get around in downtown. I have to say.
Yeah. Well, and you're like. Did you get blown by some chick in a Mickey in a Minnie Mouse costume?
Dude, Do not corrupt my childhood.
Oh yeah. That's kind of venturing into creepy zone there, dude. Yeah, but yeah. Don't mess with the Disney memories, okay? No. I don't want to imagine Minnie Mouse in a garter belt and all this other jazz. No.
Fine, Daisy Duck it is.
Daisy Duck. You ever think about feathers, huh?
Yeah, well, shake your tail feather, baby.
Yeah, I guess he's quacking up, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I mean, I just can imagine the astronomical increase in cost if once the whole Rona shit ends, and maybe in 2021, once this is all over, the prices be going through the roof.
Okay, well, that's going to be for everything.
Yeah,
because everybody's going to try to play catch up with everything that's happened during the Rona and everything.
Well, especially in California, because Disneyland's been closed since March.
Well, like I said, it's interesting. I can't say how or who, but I had an interesting conversation with somebody I know who works in Disney, who kind of sat there and was like, with the direction that they're talking about, because how we started on this, Ivan, is so Disney has kind of come out and said streaming is their new direction right now. That's going to be their emphasis with what they're doing, which is digital product. And what's interesting to me about it is I have a couple friends of mine who have some people that I know who know Disney and are involved with them that basically were like, yeah, don't be surprised if, maybe the parks could get sold off, or don't be surprised if Disney as a whole gets sold. I don't know who the hell have the money to buy Disney at this point. I'm not sure, quite frankly, how that would even be allowed to be approved at this point. I don't know who would buy them. That at this point, that if they got that, I don't know how you get congressional approval. I don't even know how that would work.
The only thing, that would be just like trying to buy an entity, like say, like Columbia Pictures or like 20th Century Fox, or
you gotta understand. You gotta understand. At this point, it's big. The names that you just named, combine all of them and say you're buying that.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, if you're buying Disney at this point, that's what they've become. Because they're that big.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, they've got parks all over the world, okay? The mouse literally holds the world in his palm. I have to say that. Because he does. And not to mention the fact that, have you looked at Disney stock? I mean, it's a killer moneymaker. I mean, the merchandising and the marketing and the copywriting and all of the things that are attached to Disney.
Right. Well, but at the end of the day, the parks are really where, I mean, believe it or not, the parks are really what kind of allow that engine to go. If you understand what I mean.
I totally understand.
It's interesting. It's kind of along the lines of, it's funny. When I worked for NewsWeb, it was really interesting because, like when they went to go like do personal achievement radio and all that stuff, the way they were fueling it was with all of the brokered radio station money.
Right.
Because essentially that money was the money that was basically allowing the other thing to happen, which I always laughed about because then they would all look down on us and were like, do you understand without us, you ain't getting paid right now? But it was the same thing with Polnet. When Polnet wanted to venture into television and everything. Well, they're buying all of these local channels, all these local signals, which they're still trying to figure that shit out. But all that money came from all the brokerships and all the tie-ins that were happening at KTA and EEF and all the stuff that was happening in those little stations, because that was their thought process on that was, it makes money, so if it ain't broke, why are we going to fix it? So, that's essentially what Disney parks are. The Disney parks are.
And now they broke.
Right, and now
they're broke. So what's going to probably end up happening, unless they figure out an interactive digital universe, I would say that the actual physical properties in of themselves, the possibility of them disappearing is looming large, I could say.
Or them selling them off to somebody else who can.
You know what? That gets me interesting. Did Six Flags Great America open this year at all?
Yes.
They did?
It did.
Okay.
It did.
But again, the numbers just weren't there. This was probably their worst fiscal year to date.
Right. But
whether or not they're going to be open next year is anybody's question. Okay?
It's interesting because could somebody like Six Flags come in and buy the Disney parks?
Well, the history on Six Flags. Okay, Six Flags.
No, I'm not talking about the history. I'm talking about right now. If Disney tomorrow sat there and said, "Okay, we're selling off the parks," Six Flags would be the first people I would think of.
I don't know, because Six Flags has had somewhat of a floundering history when it comes to because their parks have been sold and resold several times since its creation. Well, the one in Chicago, the one in Gurnee.
Yeah, by Marriott.
Well, that was Marriott.
Yeah, it went through several. It's gone through several owners already. So, and I don't think Six Flags has neither the money or the wherewithal to be able to work with such a property such as Disney. Again, remember too that California Disney was just recently added too. Okay, trying to attract the teenagers and the older adults to their parks, because you don't remember what? Yeah,
Disneyland's been there. Disneyland was the first one.
Yeah, Disneyland was the first one, right? But recently, of the last, I want to say the last decade, they also added a whole different part of the park to try to draw more people to Disneyland, because Disney World was doing so well in Florida. It took a lot of the fire from Disneyland. So Disneyland ended up building, big roller coasters and big type of, attractions to try to bring the numbers to California. And you can look it up, you can look this up anyway. You Google this and it'll tell you that Disneyland in California, they bought they expanded on their property about 5 years ago.
I mean, look, let's put it where it is, which is that, the folks at Disney, I remember back in the 80s when I went as a kid, that I remember when, you'd take the monorail places and there were big swaths of land. At the time, there were big swaths of land where there was nothing on it. And they were like, this is Disney's. Yeah, this is Disney's. Yeah, this is Disney's. To the point where you're like literally going, they bought up every freaking parcel they could get their hands on at the time when they did it, and were buying them up at the time in the 70s and 80s as much as possible, because quite frankly,
it was so cheap.
Now to get that land would be impossible.
Well, because
they're still sitting on land.
Well, not only that, they built a lot of that land out with attractions and things that they're doing. Yeah, but they're also just like Disney in Florida.
Well, the point being is there's still land they haven't used that they bought decades ago.
So here's my thought. If Disney was smart, I would sell off all the land that I wasn't using first, and then see how that would. I mean, because you could sell the land back to California. You could
sell it to a competitor is going to put up a rival theme park? I don't think.
Well, theme park, but
it could be a rival theme park.
Like Walmart, Walmart is ruthless as far as Walmart.
Stores.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I'd say, it could be stores. It could be more Walmarts, just like you were about to say. It could be more, of whatever they want to put on it. But if you sold the land back to the state, and then the state allots for whatever it is they want to zone that land for.
Yeah. Well, my point being about Walmart is that they're ruthless in the fact that they won't. If they close a Walmart will not sell the land to a competitor.
Oh no, of course not. No, absolutely not.
But Disney, but I don't know why Disney would want to let go of the land, except for the fact that it's obviously paying taxes on it. But I'm sure they're getting a good subsidy on it,
exactly
the amount of land they own.
Yeah.
Because you figure that land in the 70s and the 80s. Okay, let's just use a dollar bill. Okay. In the 70s and the 80s, let's say they bought that land maybe 25 to 35 cents on a dollar back in the 70s and the 80s. To try to buy that land today, you would probably be paying close to 85 to 90%.
Yeah. But the fact that Disney isn't using it to generate any revenue right now is still interesting.
Exactly.
They must be doing well enough where they're not paying. They're obviously making a profit enough to pay for that land.
Well, it's because of that they got Disneyland in China, they got Disneyland in France, they got Disneyland in China.
Not even that. It's Mike, you got to understand. The thought process has been is the reason why they're not doing anything with it is I hate to say it, they just haven't figured out what they want to do with it yet.
Right. There's room for aggressive expansion.
Right, exactly. Right. Versus like, for example, locally here in Chicago, we have Great America, and to that point, unfortunately, the people at Great America were not nearly as smart, and they didn't buy up nearly enough land to have extra land. And now, quite frankly, with how Gurney has boomed into like this little mini suburb that has like all kinds of stuff, and what it's turned into around the park, really in reality, they don't have expansion land. They have no expansion land to build out and do
nothing.
It's
all in there.
Right. The truth is, if you want a new ride, you're taking something out or taking something down to put in a new ride.
You are knocking something down locally in order to expand. Like if there's a hotel that's not doing well.
Well, I'm not even talking about hotels. I'm talking about, like, for example,
property on the park.
Right.
Well, property on the park.
For example, like, what was it? Like, for example, most of the roller coasters when we were kids, with the exception of the Eagle, I don't think they're there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the roller coaster, the Eagle is still there.
Right, but I don't think, like, the Demon's there.
The Demon's still there.
Okay, I don't know that the tidal wave is still there. I don't
know
that the Wizard...
I could tell you. Okay, the Demon is still there. The tidal wave is gone. Superman is there.
But that wasn't there when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'm saying
Superman when I was a kid. I mean, it was really.
When was the last time you went to Great America, Ivan?
Me? I went in the 2000s. I want to say 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
Because I was going with Soraya.
Right.
And so I was there.
Just a wee baby.
Yeah, well, I rode the Raging Bull, which, believe me, that's a heart stopper. That one is. And
that's what I mean. I like when I was a kid in the 80s, there wasn't no Raging Bull.
Yeah, but so that's why when I went, there was like I said, the Demon, is still there. The oldest roller coaster, the one that looks like a rocket, that one of the metal ones, that's still there. But like I said, the tidal wave has come and gone. The shock wave has come and gone because where Shockwave was, now Superman is in its place. The Iron Eagle is gone. Now there's the Batman ride that took the place of that. I mean they still have a good deal of the older roller coasters. Plus they also acquired the small roller coaster that was over at Kittyland. The one on North Avenue and First, and
did they really?
Yeah, they acquired it. They moved it and they put it in Great America. So
that. I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean they wanted to preserve the history of that roller coaster because that coaster has been around since Kitty Land was open and everything. So it's a historical piece of amusement. So and so with that being said, it just comes right down to. But again, it all comes right down to, Great America having changed hands, a multitude of times. Will they be able to do that? Will Disney be able to do that, in the near future? Depending on several points, I think, would be, all right, one, all of the running revenue from the rest of the world that's still participating in the Disney parks in the rest of the world. We might not be getting a lot of activity here, but the rest of the world, they're still going. They're still happening, unless, of course, there's a lockdown happening over there that I'm not aware of. But as far as I know, if I was to Google the profit ratio of Disney, in the rest of the world, I'm sure they're still making bank. Then, of course, they have their television, they have their streamers, they have their marketing, they have their merchandising, they have and then they're still making content as well. So the likelihood of Disney in California disappearing or going to another broker, I'm saying it's slim to none, but it's still slim.
Yeah, but do you think Disney can afford to keep Disneyland closed for 7 more months?
To be honest with you, unless they really come out with something extraordinary, like if they're able to replicate the same thrills digitally, virtually, or if they're able to offer something in that particular, like you're on the rides, but you're looking at a virtual device of some sort, like they did when you were there at Disney. They had all the 3D and they had all the virtual reality. You wore the glasses and you're just like, oh, I'm going to space. Wow, this is great. Or something to that effect. I mean, it would be a gamer's representation of what the experience of Disney California would be. Which, it may be a reality if such a thing were to happen, but that's a lot to try to invest in order to reconfigure that whole experience. And now 7 months could be a death knell, because that's a long time. I mean, you had 7 months to the 7 months that already passed by. That's 14 months. That's a year and 2 months.
Yes, it is.
And so that's a lot of time for any place to be closed. I mean, you're talking businesses everywhere that are closing within a matter of weeks right now, within a matter of months right now. In fact, here I digress to a side note here. Okay, last night I was invited to Logan Arcade as one of the honorees, because James Despy, who owns Logan Arcade, said, I need to get feedback as to how we're going to move forward. So with mask and everything like that, I came in, I walked over to the arcade, had my temperature taken, was given a bottle of cleaner and stuff like that. And we, they invited the core people of Logan Arcade to spend a couple of hours together to see if it was comfortable enough to make it actually suffice with the restrictions. I mean, they covered off the bar. They placed tables 6 feet from one another. They had rules. If you're at a table, you stick with the table. If you're gonna talk, you make sure you keep your mask on. If you're going to play the games, they give you a pad, like a stick, like one of those stick note pads. Once you're done playing the game, you put the stick note pad down. Then a person runs over there, sees the stick note pad. They clean the game down in order for the next person to use it. We were experimenting with different techniques in order to try to make an arcade viable in the time of Corona. So that was kind of a benchmark thing that happened last night. So 2 hours, and I was surrounded by those people that I was closest to, that I worked with over at Logan Arcade, me, Melissa, Zesby, Tina, Lee, all of us, together trying to make this work. And I have to say that the comfort ratio was definitely there now, but that's because we all know one another now. To make that a viability with people we don't know,
with a room full of strangers, yeah,
a room full of strangers. See, there's the joint there. There's the wrench throw. So so we're sitting here trying to come up with solutions in order to make this happen. Well, same with the Disney parks. Okay, yeah, Disney in Florida. Okay, they got their set of restrictions, and you got to follow their rules. You got to follow their protocol. Unless Disney California decides once they're able to actually open and follow the same kind of protocol, if they're not able to swing that, then Disney in California might cease to be.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think we can move on from this subject because we've been at it for a bit. But it's interesting to talk how things are going with the entertainment business, not just movies. Yeah. I mean,
movies, disc jockeys, artists, people with bands. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was sitting there in Logan Arcade listening to the musicians, we have Justin, who he's a magician, and it's like he's got no place to perform. And there's musicians, they got no place to perform. There's no stages anywhere. Everybody's kind of holding themselves up to a situation. The artist community is at a standstill.
Yeah, it is.
It's at a standstill. And will musicians be able to actually do anything anywhere in the near future? Not unless there's major changes.
Well, like I said, until next year. We just got to wait till we ride this out until there are treatments and therapeutics and a vaccine. Who knows? Until people are comfortable going back, because I know the movie theaters, they're still empty, and the studios are holding on to all their material, all the product, either eyeballing the chance of putting it on streaming and finding a way to make it profitable that way, or finding a way to send people rushing into theaters, but I don't see that happening this year.
By the way, did you see the advertisements for this new Liam Neeson movie? Why is every Liam Neeson movie look like the same fucking movie now?
Because it's Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson?
Leslie
Nielsen?
His name is. Leslie Nielsen. That'd be more interesting.
A lot of his movies seemed all the same with the Naked Gun.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. They all have the same type of...
Yeah. So Liam Neeson, what's the name of this film?
I think it's The Good Thief or something like that.
Yeah, it seems like another action thriller, Taken Part 9.
It's another one of those... Right, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It just feels like every single one of them feel like Taken Part 9. Every movie he's made since Taken feels like Taken Part 9, I mean, it's like, literally, I mean, ever since, he did, Schindler's List, and he did, Qui-Gon, and everything ever since has kind of been, ever since he got into, action mode, he's turned into, so this is, Liam Neeson and Taken Part 20 million. Got it. Good to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
More of the same.
Every time I watch, it's like the same. And the reason I say that is it's every trailer now looks exactly the same. When he does these action films, they all look the same. And the only difference is I don't hear him say, I have a specific set of skills.
Or he's talking to someone, he's threatening someone on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that. It's you're, all that kind of same kind of gravitas, and it's all I'm waiting for is, go ahead, say it. Say it. You know you want to say it. Everybody else is thinking it too. Come on, say it. You have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So,
You'll be forever known for that.
Yeah. Speaking of forever known, I guess we can close the show on this. The passing of Eddie Van Halen this week.
Yeah.
Major blow to the 80s rock people that Jeff and I are, and of course Ivan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a major blow. Throat cancer. Awful.
Well, given Eddie's rambunctious life, okay, I mean, which is no secret to anybody, and that's just the occupational hazards of being a rock and roller. I mean, sex and drugs and rock and roll. I mean, it's true. It's true, and it comes at you fast. It comes at you hard. I mean, Eddie had a drinking problem that he was trying to get a handle on for many years through a interview with Valerie Bertinelli, his ex-wife. Spoke about how it was really hard Eddie had a very hard time handling his fame because it came as fast as it did. And when you are under the auspices of David Lee Roth, and then with the other singer too,
Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, Van Hagar, as they were busy making a big joke of for a long time.
Right now.
But I have to say, Sammy Hagar was smart. At least he invested his money. He went to Hawaii, and now he's making his own alcohol. Whereas I can't
have to pay anyone to drink.
Well, but Sammy Hagar before Van Halen was doing just fine.
Well, yeah, he was. He was
doing just fine before Van Halen. It was just one of those words like, "Hey, we want you to be the lead singer of Van Halen." Okay.
Yeah, well, that was because David Lee Roth, he was slowly going into the caricature that he had became. Hold on.
Oh, Jesus. You okay, Ivan? Hold on. Well, anyway, but we'll get to this one.
TV.
There's this. He did a lot of stuff in movies too. There's one article from Cheat Sheet that I posted on my Facebook page about all the movie soundtrack stuff that he did.
Well, yeah, and then all the side gigs. I mean, the guitar solo in to Michael Jackson. I mean, come on, it's legendary. Right. The guitar solo he did for Janet Jackson, Black Cat, legendary. And so he made his mark. His mark will never be forgotten because Eddie Van Halen. For the most of it, it wasn't up until recently that a lot of people thought that Eddie Van Halen was the talent behind the tapping and hammer-ons and things that he did on his guitar. It wasn't up until just recently that there's a Bavarian guitar artist that did this on an acoustic guitar and actually did the same technique that a lot of people thought that Eddie Van Halen perfected and created. So I guess he must have known something about this Bavarian guy to come up with all of the wide open things he did on his guitar. Not to mention the guitar itself is now considered a legendary make, and I'm sure that guitar is going to get sold for the longest time because it was a custom built guitar. I mean, to spec, what Eddie Van Halen wanted in a guitar. So the EVH guitar is definitely going to be on a lot of musicians' Christmas lists come the future. But, yeah, he was an innovator and right up there with a number of other guitar types along with, in the 1980s and in the 1990s.
Well, the other thing is, too, I mean, let's be honest. Van Halen was always Eddie Van Halen was always interesting because it's my band, and the talent just kind of comes and goes as I please. Whether or not I want them there or not. Because, he kicked out Sammy Hagar too. And he went with with the guy from Extreme? What was his, I don't even remember his name at one point.
Very few people remember his name because that was an ill-fated change.
Yeah, think?
But,
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember,
it's kind of like when they tried to put a new lead singer for Genesis. I remember that whole situation.
Oh, so the guy's name was Ray Wilson, I think was his name.
Yeah, and you saw how far that got.
Why didn't they just? Well, we'll get. That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I was going to say, why didn't they just make Mike Rutherford the lead singer?
I don't think Rutherford sang at all. I don't think he even sang with Mike and the Mechanics.
No.
Was he not the lead singer for Mike and the Mechanics? Shit. Okay,
no.
Whoops.
No. No. And then, of course, I think the nail in the coffin on the whole Van Halen thing was, I keep going back to it, but it's still true. Them trying to tour again, and when they were on Jimmy Kimmel,
trying to get David Lee Roth straight.
Yeah.
And David Lee Roth, he was Walking Death.
He was like
he looked like Walking Death.
Saw the money. Come on,
and
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh?
They saw the money. They saw what the Stones make, and they're like, "Holy shit, we can make more money than the Stones."
Yeah, but the problem is,
since the 80s.
Yeah, but the problem is, David Lee Roth couldn't even keep himself straight. He busted his nose before the performance. He's walking around, chewing gum while trying to sing with a stupid piece of, Band-Aid over his nose from busting his nose up. He looked like hell. The guy's like skin and bones, holding up his old ass tattoos, which he's no longer sexy. I don't know why he left his shirt open, because I don't know who he was trying to improve. He was going to get his fair share of granny panties thrown at him. But
Ivan. Yeah, why did he leave his shirt open, Ivan?
Well, okay, but I'm not David Lee Roth, okay? I can leave my shirt off.
Right.
And I don't care, okay? That's just my groovy thing, and I'm going to protect my groovy thing by leaving my shirt off, okay? I'm going to show my spots to the world because it feels good.
Well, okay, so that's David Lee Roth, so there's your answer.
Yeah,
But
see, I'm fat and sassy and cuddly. David Lee Roth, he looked like a skeleton holding up the skin and bones.
And you think there's still not there's still not women from who from their teenage years are sitting there going yeah, I'd still fuck him. Come on.
Yeah,
David Lee Roth.
That's funny.
Come on. I mean, that's what Eddie. Look, let's be honest. Eddie Van Halen was looking at that, going, "Hey, if I can make a shitload of money, reuniting with David Lee Roth."
Yeah, Eddie was looking at the money, and he had a serious aspect of wanting to do that. But the rest of the band members, they just weren't on board, man. They just weren't on board, and that would break any guy.
Was the Sammy Hagar David Lee Roth tour before or after that mess? I can't remember. I think
it was before.
Too.
I think it was before.
Yeah.
Was it? So then they have nothing to. They have. I'm sorry. They had cameras backstage for the entire thing. I mean, Hagar's this is fucking crazy. I can't do this anymore.
Didn't Sting try and do a tour, and they ended up almost hating each other even more afterward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was
they
tried to make that happen, but they just drifted too far apart. They drifted too far apart.
The Police is a great example of one of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where it was they split up, and you never. I mean, every once in a while you hear a tease, they might get back together, and it's nope, not happening. Not happening at all.
No, and this is the case with a lot of bands. I mean, a lot of people are, a lot of bands are just they're waxing nostalgic for all the stuff that's familiar. Okay, just like in the movies. Okay, what's number one at the box office? A movie from 1993, Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler. Everybody's waxing, Beetlejuice is also big at the theater right now. Everybody's trying to wax this whole 80s thing and everything. I mean, unfortunately, when you got guys like Rat
That's not even 80s.
When you got a guy like Rat doing commercials round and round, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Those guys.
What it is somebody's got to pay a car payment. That's what it is.
Right. Somebody's got to make rent.
Everybody's got to make rent, a car payment or something. Yeah, but the practicality of the old bands ever getting together and they all got this illusion of it's going to be just like it was. No, it's not.
No, it's for years for years they've been pining to, teasing about maybe doing a mini tour with Genesis and Peter Gabriel again, but that's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
No, it won't. No. I'd love to see it happen, but it's never going to happen.
No. I mean, if the money would have to be astronomically large. And
sometimes it's not about the money, though.
Not even
okay, but then you got to have the supply for the demand. The demand's got to be there. Are there still a lot of people wanting to hear Genesis today? Are there a lot of people that want to hear, Peter Gabriel today? Are there a lot of people that still want to listen to that type of music? Yeah, I mean, it's up and coming. It seems like it's coming back around again. I've noticed that, but. There's a lot of cases in point where, here it is. This is 40 years later, folks.
Yeah. But at least Eddie found a way to make money afterward, and he set himself well up. So all he had is demons, like most rock stars, but
that's true.
He did okay for himself. True. He could have ended up a lot worse.
Though.
Well, this is true. This is true
because it's like you talk about he partied hard and he had rough and he did all that stuff. And it's funny because it's like, think about all the other bands in the 80s that you heard stories that were far worse than Eddie Van Halen.
Are you kidding? I could go ahead and I could do a show alone on the evils of rock and roll music behind the scenes. I mean,
well, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the metal. Look, the metal community, the hard rock metal community,
the hair bands,
the hair bands. I mean, the stuff that you hear about it, the stuff you hear about how they partied and what it's like. I mean, the only thing I can think of is, here, you want to beat the COVID virus? Go get, fucking Tommy Lee's antibodies. That should save us all.
Oh,
well, the shit that gets thrown in, or Keith Richards,
Yeah, or Keith Richards, man. I mean, the guy's the Sphinx, man. He's still going.
Keith Richards. I mean, Tommy Lee, Jesus Christ. I mean, dude. Jeez. Holy cow.
Axl Rose. Okay? Maybe not too much because he can't sing anymore.
Axl Rose is such a punk-ass bitch.
He really is.
He just became a diva.
Slash is still out there. Believe it or not, there is a Guns N' Roses pinball that just came out via Stern.
Right.
So Slash, he's still making his money.
Well, my understanding is what? Isn't so Axl Rose owns the GNR, the whole GNR thing, but Slash, I don't know how much Slash has got money in actual GNR, but, Slash has done enough stuff out there where...
Well, Slash owns... it was divided into equal quarters amongst the band members, so he's got a piece of GNR, and he could piece out whatever he wants to do under GNR because he owns
that IP, right?
He owns that IP, exactly.
Does he? Because I remember one time when they where Axl showed up at the end of, I can't remember what MTV Awards it was, with Guns N' Roses, and it was like the only person you recognized was Axl Rose, and everybody was like, "What the fuck? Who are the rest of these guys?" It's like, yeah, this is the new Guns N' Roses, and it was like, I remember because it was funny because it was like the other Guns N' Roses members, including Slash, was like, excuse me?
Well,
what the fuck?
Dude, it's something that's happened in the music era for a lot of it. Okay, you got the oldie circuit is notorious for this very thing.
Temptations.
Okay, we got the Temptations, but we got
one.
We got one Temptation that was the real Temptation, and four other guys, and those guys. The Four Tops. We got one real Four Top, and those other guys. So,
no offense, Ivan. You and I could be Temptations at this point.
You and I could be Temptations, babe.
Yes, we could. There we do. There we go. We need to find...
Let's get matching purple suits. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, we have to learn our steps, too.
We need to find, we don't even have to... Well, we don't have to be good Temptations. We just have to have, one guy who used to be, in the Temptations at some point, and we can, not be even any good and make some serious coin.
Yeah, I was their roadie in 1993, so...
Yeah, well, we'll have to go ahead to some of the bars that some of these guys still live in and kind of drag them out of there and say, hey!
Seriously. But, it's funny because it's that's the other thing. It's man, a lot of these big time '80s stars, like the big time '80s, like music stars, are just
they're not able.
Gone. No,
yeah.
they're just, and we're not even talking about the rock stars. I mean, it's like Prince is gone. Michael Jackson gone. I'm trying to think out who else. I mean, but yeah, I mean.
Well, again, it just goes back to that.
And Huey Lewis is having some sort of problem. I know Phil Collins has some sort of problem.
Yeah, he said. Well, I read his memoir, and he almost died from alcohol. I mean, the juice, the sauce almost killed him. But he did some a limited reunion tour in Britain, and I think they were thinking about putting a mini Genesis tour in at least in Europe and Great Britain. But of course, that was before the Rona hit. So,
right.
But yeah, Phil, his health has been deteriorating, and he can't play drums anymore. So.
Well, right, and there's something with Huey Lewis. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, Huey Lewis is, I think, his too.
Well, the last time I saw Ginger Baker of Cream was down, and I went to go see him with a friend of mine, and here it is. You got this 80-plus-year-old man who can barely get up on the riser, get off the riser. He got behind a kid. He sounded great, Ginger Baker. He was with Cream. This is the man who had bassman Jack Bruce and then Eric Clapton. The alleged guitar god.
Yeah.
And
but that's even older than what we're talking about. I mean, but I'm saying though that the music community, is 60s or 70s, the 80s, have a lot of them have fallen, and have just left this stage. They've all gone.
We lost Little Richard earlier this year.
Yeah, we lost Little Richard. Jerry Lee.
Was really old.
Yeah, with Jerry Lee Lewis, he's a walking dead man. Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in poor health. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of those cats when the rock.
But those guys are a lot older than what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're just talking about 80s rock stars.
Okay, right, well, 80s rock stars. 80s. Okay, look at what happened with to Sid Vicious. Yeah, Sid Vicious.
George Michael. I mean, Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious really 80s? He's more 70s.
No, Sid Vicious was the 80s, man. That was the beginning of punk. Yeah, Sid and Me, the movie. Yeah, great movie. Sid Vicious. A lot of the punk guys are gone. Okay. I just had a friend. Okay, I had a friend of mine who was deep into the disco and hip hop circuit. Just passed away. Russell, rest in peace, my man. He just passed away about 2 weeks ago, and he was in his 50s. So yeah, you're talking of, it's a lot that's happening to the entertainment.
No, the 90s. Well, let's just be honest. A lot of the guys, look, hip hop 90s. There were a lot of hip hop 90s guys who died in the hip hop 90s.
Well, yeah, they did. They got all shot up. They got shot up. They got shot up. Deals gone bad. Clubs gone bad. Having guns firing off at each other in the limousines and shit.
I mean, there's a reason why Ice-T ended up on Law and Order, because it's like they know that I'll play with the play guns.
I'm getting the fuck out of this before I get my ass shot off too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's hardcore. I mean, that type of stuff, man. A lot of that was street money. A lot of that was blood money, drug money.
Wow, yeah.
Those labels,
Crips and Bloods,
tax shelters. Those labels were tax shelters to all of this, dirty money and shit.
East Coast, West Coast, and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because you don't hear much about what's his name anymore. I mean, he's still around. He's still out there, but you don't hear about Sean Combs like you used to back in the
P. Diddy,
2000s.
Yeah,
he's kind of do this and do that.
No.
And then of course you can be R. Kelly, where now he's sharing a cell.
Yeah, Netflix documentary.
Yeah, but he wasn't was he really hip hop? He was more R&B, wasn't he?
Well, he had a lot of collaborations, is what it is. I mean, R. Kelly did a lot of collaborations with Mariah Carey, with J-Lo, with.
I don't know what he did with her. Anyway, don't matter. Who? So anyway, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. But
yeah, no, like I said,
Yeah, so that being said, yeah, the 80s and the 90s were just plain not kind to its singers, its songwriters, its musicians. I mean, Linda Ronstadt, okay, she was 70, she was 80, she can't even sing anymore. That's a shame.
and yet Kid Rock lives. How the fuck?
And yet Kid Rock is somewhere tonight working in the one-nighters someplace.
No, he's busy. He's busy taking. Well, I won't go there. He's busy taking conservative money. That's the biggest.
Oh well, yeah, exactly. He's
that's
making
the biggest bullshit of all time, by the way.
That is the biggest bullshit of all time. No, you're right.
Big time hip hop rap guy, and now I'm gonna become a country star. What the fuck is that?
There's a left turn for you.
Fuck. What the flying fuck? I'm just sort of like, all I heard about, like, when he was first coming out, oh man, this guy's totally street. This guy's been out there. He's really had it hard. He's badass. He's really been, he's from the street. He's Detroit, like Eminem's Detroit. And the next thing I know, he's like hanging out down in Nashville. And it's like, what the fuck?
Wasn't he like running for like Congress for like a week?
Yes, he was running for Congress for like a week. You're right. You're right. Yeah. I mean, it's just like Kanye West. I'm trying to run to be president. You know, I saw my ballot, and he was on it.
Oh, nice. You should have sent me a picture of it.
Oh, shit, I should have. I didn't think about that.
I don't know if he's going to be because I'll be voting in person. I don't know if he's going to be in on my ballot or not.
I think I'm going to end up going to early balloting voting.
I already did my ballot back in September. I voted on the 28th. So yeah, I'm already.
If he's on that ballot, if he's on that ballot, he'll be on our ballot. The problem is,
he's going to be on your ballot too. So don't be surprised if you look down and then wait till you see who his VP is. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm going to let you find out for yourself. Okay. It'll fuck you up.
I think I remember who it is, but do they really list it as he's part of the birthday party?
I don't remember it right now.
That's what I want to look for, because he claimed that they were calling themselves the birthday party. And his rationale was the greatest thing I've ever heard, which is because every day is your birthday with us. And I'm like, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
That's pretty impressive. I kind of like it.
I mean, that's pretty good in Alice in Wonderland terms, but I guess, you're like, okay. Or Mad Hatter.
It's too bad. I actually really wanted to see a real Kanye West run in about 4 years, because I think that would have been money, but
I mean
I wanted to see him on a debate. I really wanted to see him on a Democratic debate stage or some shit like that.
Oh my gosh, he'd pop.
Or like a Republican
arguing
stage.
With Bernie.
Yeah,
the only green deal I know is the green that's in my pocket. That's the only green deal I know. The only other green I know is what's in my rolling paper. And that's the only other green I know.
No, he'd be like, fuck you, old fart, go to bed.
Good night, Sleepy Joe. Well, yeah, I can see him saying good night, Sleepy Joe.
It's like, I still remember the greatest thing of all time. I have to go watch it again. Was when they did the thing for Katrina. And he's there with Mike Myers, and he's supposed to read the thing. And he goes, George Bush hates black.
He doesn't care about black people, and Mike Myers just like frozen, like don't know how to react.
I don't know what to do, and he keeps going. And then he's like, Kanye's supposed to say his next line, and Kanye is like, yeah, George Bush hates black people. And then he's like, geez.
Yep.
Oh,
the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was so good. And then they immediately cut away from it, which was great. Michael Myers is all freaked out, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
What the fuck just happened here? Yeah.
Why am I here? Why am I standing next to this guy? What the fuck is happening?
Boy, do I feel like shit.
It's not, why do I feel like shit? It's just like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Okay, Mr. Saturday Night Live improvisation guy. Clearly you lack those skills at the moment, huh?
You didn't know when to shoot or go blind at that point.
You know. He really should have said he should have got into his Austin Powers and been like, yeah, baby!
Yeah, baby! I need to return to a franchise for material. Oh,
well,
boy.
No, at the time it wasn't at that time it was a legit franchise, so it didn't matter. I mean,
oh, yeah, I guess
where Mike Myers is now. Oh, that's right. Mike Myers did the bit part in Bohemian Rhapsody where he's like, no one's going to want to fucking listen to this thing. It's too fucking long and nobody's going to. What was the line? I can't remember. Some line.
It says it's 6 minutes long. It's an eternity. And Freddie Mercury says, I pity your wife if you think 6 minutes is an eternity.
Right.
Well, speaking of eternities, we've been running along this week, so I think we're going to cap it up here.
Okay.
Ivan, what are you doing this week? Got any live streaming? Doing a SoundCloud? What are you doing on the Twitch, or what you doing?
Okay, well, I got a SoundCloud coming up later this week. Autumn Sunsets by the Street Lamps, vocal groups number 1, is going to get released this week. It's going to be a series. I'm doing it. I'm doing 3 of them this week as a set. And I'm also going to be on Twitch this Sunday for Sweet Soulful Sunday for Logan Arcade. Also, the return of Jive and Satchel on Wednesday night. But it's not going to be a 9 to 2 a.m. setup. It's going to be actually more afternoon to evening, more like 3 to 9 for the Wednesday evening situation because I'm stepping away from overnight stuff now. And so far just kind of working things through SoundCloud. If you want to listen to any of the programs on SoundCloud, it's Jive and Ivan Moonsoul Music Collection, and right now there's 5 shows lined up for you. 3 of them with rockabilly tunes. There's a woman's voices throughout the stages, and then also a Wacky Stack show. Starting in December, going to be releasing the 7 rare Sweet Daddy Jive shows from the late 1990s, early 2000s. 6 of them that actually aired, 1 that was a standby that never got to see the light of day. I'm also going to be releasing other materials from WEF 1430 AM, including some of our highlights from some of our old shows, very tastefully done. And so that I got coming up on the future studio board for what I'm going to be releasing on SoundCloud. And lots of surprises. So once again, Jive and Ivan Moonsoul Music Collection. And then if you want to catch me on Twitch, that's JAVANIVAN. And that is Twitch TV, and that'll be from 3 p.m. it'll be from 12 noon to 5 p.m. This Sunday, Central Time, this Sunday, the 18th of October. Then also, same time for the Satchel on Wednesday, the 21st of October. That will be the 3 to, that'll be a 3 to 8 or 9 set. That's pretty much what I got lined up for DJ gigs right now. And, so that's pretty much what's on my agenda for, performances. And, just keep, your eye out on Facebook, on Instagram, for, when the programs, the sessions drop. And of course, speaking of sessions dropping, when does our sessions drop here over at Squares of the Round Table there, Mike?
They're on Wednesdays and Fridays when we get our Squares Round Table Facebook page, and the News of the Squared comes out pretty much every Wednesday and Friday. Oh, Jeff. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. Jeff, you got anything? What you got going on this week?
What you got going on?
So as I mentioned previously, Wednesday I am up in technically I'm up in Canada, doing a piece for a humorous piece that I'm working on. And so there's that. I'll have more information. If it's not on, I don't think it'll be on the Squares page. It'll probably be on the Dynamite Productions page that will be available, which is my professional speaking page. And so Saturday morning, and Ivan did not catch this, so Saturday morning, I'm actually speaking somewhere around between 4 and 7 o'clock in the morning in Asia. I'm doing a 30-minute presentation for a group in Singapore, and then the irony is Saturday evening, I am competing in an area contest for a humorous speech contest. So, and then Sunday night is the Midwest Speaking Professionals at 6 p.m. I can get information on that. We're going to have Lois Creamer, who is the author of Book More Business. So if you're looking to be a professional presenter, this is somebody you want to see because her books are phenomenal, and she knows how really to make that work. So, a little bit of a busy week for me.
Awesome.
Getting out there a little bit more, and I think we talked about it. Yeah, and then I've got I'm doing a division contest in November, so we'll see. And I've got a couple other things lined up. It's funny, I'm so busy I couldn't even sign up to do them off this week because it was the 16th, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta wake up at the crack of dawn the next day. So I'm like, nope, not doing them off. So yeah, so there you go.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are you doing?
Nothing. I'm working. I think I'll have a game night Saturday scheduled.
Cool. What's your plan?
Oh, we don't know yet. We'll find out.
So decide that on today. I got it.
Yeah, I just show up and my friends have games. I let them pick the games. I only have a couple here. So just busy.
Well, cool, man. Okay. Somebody's here making money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Holy cow, yeah.
We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe, to get new content. Of course, you can download the show on your favorite podcast hosting sites, i.e. Google, Apple, Spotify, Anchor. And, of course, follow us on Facebook. That's where you see all these crazy news stories for News of the Squared that'll drop later in the week. Instead of a message or a comment, question or whatever, send us an email, sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. And I guess that'll do for episode 120.
120. That's right, everybody. And thanks for joining us here at the Squares of the Round Table. We'll catch up with you next time. So on behalf of me, Jeff, and Mike, have yourself a good week and take care. Bye for now.